to be here and so grateful for all the positive response around the Massive video courses. I'm just really touched by it, so very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. And can I make sure can everyone hear us? Just say yes, we can hear you fine. Just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Got it. Great. Okay, and how about Brendan? Let's introduce everybody to Brendan. Brendan is one of Chris's students. Brendan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm honored here to be here tonight with Chris as well and everybody on this conference call.
Sweet. We appreciate you being here, man. We really do.
You're welcome.
So, Chris, I'm gonna let you just start. Let's dive right in.
Okay, let's do this thing. Well, first of all, I just want to say that I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm just really happy with the way things are going on this end of it. And tonight's call on here, basically what we're going to do, this call is about fast tracking. We want to fast track to get our clients as quickly as possible. In fact, get clients within 48 hours. And with that, I want to just redirect you really quickly here to a post we just got a few hours ago on the Warrior Forum. Post 49 on here. I just want to read this to you. Someone who just purchased the course. His name is Ron. And Ron, by the way, if you're on the call, chime in. We'd like to talk to you later. But he wrote on here, "Hey, Chris and Anthony, thanks for this product. I skimmed through your videos and took immediate action. Within 24 hours of going through the material, I created 8 pitch videos and emailed a prospect. After making the videos and emailing clients, I went to bed at 2 a.m. He goes on to say that by 12:10 p.m., my phone rang and I locked in my first client, $99 a month. The client was so excited he asked me if I'd develop a campaign for his second store. There's a lot of upsell potential for this client, and he owns several niche retail stores. I'm most likely going to upsell him to some various packages. I'm excited because this is a simple system that could not come at a better time for my family financially." Ron brings on a lot of good points that we're going to touch on tonight. The first is he took massive action. He didn't hold back. He didn't get caught in anything. He just went out and he took action. And he got the results back on that end of it. And the third thing is that he already notices the opportunity here, which we're going to talk a little bit about towards the end of the seminar, and also on the next date when we run it, which I believe is the 17th. Right, Anthony?
Yes, on the 17th, a week from today.
On the 7th. Week from today, 7 days from today, is that he sees the potential for the upsell. This is really just the beginning. You can stay here on this and do this, or you can upsell it on here. So basically, we're going to walk through this, exactly how you'd fast track, how you get your client right away. We're going to walk through the stages. As we walk through each step, what I'm going to do is write down your questions, and as we go through each phase, we're going to take a quick pause, take some questions, make sure that we don't leave anybody behind, then we're going to pick up and move on to the next part. Okay? Before we get started here, I wanted to share with you guys a really interesting study. It's called the Marshmallow Study. And this Marshmallow Study took place back in the 60s at Harvard University. And what they did is they took a group of 4- and 6-year-olds, and they would put a 4- to 5-, 6-year-old in a room alone, and they'd have a professor come in, and the professor would come in and he'd set a marshmallow right in front of the child on a table. And the professor would look at the child and say, "Johnny, I got a marshmallow here for you. You can eat this marshmallow right now, but I'm going to leave the room and I'm going to come back in 5 minutes. And when I come back, if you don't eat this marshmallow, I'm going to give you a second marshmallow. So Johnny, would you like 1 marshmallow or 2? And of course, all the kids said they wanted 2 marshmallows, right? So the professor left the marshmallow on the table right in front of the child. The professor left the room, shut the door behind him, and he returned after 5 minutes. Now, they did this study all over the world. They did it in Korea, they did it in Costa Rica, and they all came up with the same results. And that is 3 out of the 4 kids couldn't make the 5 minutes. They would end up sniffing the marshmallow, licking it, and then they just couldn't take it, and they ended up eating it right up. Some of them would, as soon as the professor left the room, they just eat the marshmallow right away. They just couldn't handle it. Others, after 2 minutes, and others would almost make it to the end and then end up eating it. And at a later time, if you want to watch some of those videos, they're really quite humorous. It's called the Marshmallow Study. You can look it up on YouTube. But do that, save that for later. Now, 1 out of 4 kids was able to last the whole 5 minutes and get 2 marshmallows. And what's interesting is that the kids that were able to get the 2 marshmallows were exercising what I think is a very important success technique, which I think is critical when we apply some of the strategies that we're going to be talking about tonight. That is, those 25% of those kids were able to delay gratification. And because this happened in the 60s, and they did it all over the world, they followed these kids all the way through different stages in their life, through high school, through college, adulthood, all the way up to the present. And they found out some very interesting things. The kids who could not delay gratification ended up being unsuccessful in a lot of different areas in their lives. They didn't have as deep relationships with their siblings, with their friends, with their spouses. They had more debt, and they had less overall net worth. The quality of life was not as high as the kids that were able to delay gratification. Those kids always had a higher education. They had deeper, more meaningful relationships. They had less debt, and they had more money. So the question really becomes on here is, for me, when I started analyzing this, is where is the real reward in the process? Is the reward delaying it so you get the 2 marshmallows? And I would argue that it's not. Because when you look at people that are, say, multimillionaires, and they have tons of money, and you say, well, why do they keep working? They got so much money. They have so many marshmallows, right? Well, the reason they keep working is not because of the marshmallows. It's not because they're delaying gratification. So you have to look at the process and ask yourself, where is the reward? Is the reward delaying gratification until you get the marshmallows, until you get the clients, until you get your first $99 a month client? Is that the true reward? And I would argue that it's not. And it's not sustainable. When you look at people who can't lose weight or they bounce back and forth, that's a perfect example of delaying gratification. I'll delay dessert, I'll delay my free time and go to the gym, and the delayed gratification, I'll end up losing, 2 pant sizes or 20 or 50 pounds, but inevitably they end up gaining it back. So where is the reward? Because the reward is not the end result. It's not the client, it's not the money in the bank. In order to make it sustainable, in order to keep the weight off, in order to keep the debt out, in order to keep the money in your bank, in order to be successful in this process, I would say it's very important to understand that the true reward is in the process of actually doing it. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about the process. And if you become passionate and understand that every process, every step that you make, every email that you send out, every customer that you contact, those little steps are your reward. And this will end up being a sustainable, successful process for you. So the reward is in the process on that end of it. So let's go ahead and get started here. One of the first steps that we want to do here in this process is, before we get started, we want to determine what kind of niche do we want to get into. And we want to also know not only just the niche, but we want to know how competitive is that niche. Now, if you've gone through the course in its entirety, you know that we highly recommend that if you're just starting out, that you go for the easy to medium niche as far as the competition goes. What does that look like? Well, in the course we go over how to analyze the marketplace and using some various tools in there to look at the marketplace and look at how competitive is that page 1 and the sites for the particular keyword that you want to go after. How competitive is that? And we're suggesting here that you're going after something that has a page rank of a 0 to a 2 on average as you kind of thumb over page 1 for your particular keyword, and it has the least amount of backlinks possible going to those sites. And it's got at least 50 searches, exact searches, or more. That's going to be an easy market. That's a market where you're going to very quickly get that client's website or video up to page 1 in the shortest amount of time possible.
Chris, quick question. Sorry, you said minimum of 50 exact searches per month, right? Is that what you just said?
Yes, I would say minimum.
Okay, and I just want to bring that up.
Exact searches.
Okay, I want to bring that up because a lot of people have that question. You know, what's the base? What's the minimum that I should look for? And yours is 50. You like to go with a minimum of 50.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem. That's a great question. I want to note though that that's just a general rule.
Okay.
I've got clients. I've got an automotive guy out of Plano, Texas, and if you do searches for auto mechanic in Plano, exact searches, it shows up 0. But you got to use a little bit of common sense. You can use that later. Right now, just follow the guidelines. But you got to do a little bit of common sense. You got to say, hey, look, there's a population of 125,000 people here. Most families have got at least 1 or 2 cars. They're going to need to be repaired at some time.
Yep.
And the data is not always 100% accurate on Google.
Right. It's not. It's true. It's not.
But 50 is 50. So 50 is a good base to start with on that end of it. Okay?
And that was,
and
what you just said was really brilliant. Like you looked at the population of that area. That's really brilliant. I never would have thought of that. And you thought to yourself, well, most people have 1 or 2 cars, and the population is this, so there's going to be searches there. So that's a really great way to look at it. I never would have thought of that.
The other way to kind of confirm is, are there actually searches here? Because the data is not always 100% accurate with what Google provides for us. Is you can take that same search term and just search in a larger city. Search in San Diego, search in Phoenix, search in Dallas, search in Houston, these larger metropolitan areas. If you see searches that show up there when you're using the exact searches for that, then you know that if you've got a city that's maybe 500,000 and you're looking at a city that's 100,000, you can just do a quick equation on that, and you know it's probably going to be about 5 times less because the population is 5 times smaller. Even though it may show 0 in a population of 100,000, but in a city that's maybe a population of 100,000, it may show, 200 searches on there, which would tell you that, hey, there's approximately maybe around 40 searches in the smaller population area. But just to be safe, starting out, we want to ensure that your best foot is forward. I would go with the 50 or more in an easy to competitive marketplace. So the second thing that we want to do to really fast track and make sure that you've got a good success on this is we want to make sure that you're looking for the right keywords. I have got some emails that come in and they're asking, hey, I'm not seeing very many searches for this term. And I look at it and I know from experience that if they just slightly adjusted it, they would get more searches. For example, somebody emailed in and they said, I'm not getting very many searches for bail bondsman in a particular city. And when we're doing keyword research, we're really looking at, for local markets, we're looking at the type of service, the name of the service, whether it's a chiropractor, a dentist, cosmetic surgeon, cosmetic dentist, plumber, plus the city name. And there's some slight variations there that you kind of need to play around with. For example, if you were to enter into Google bail bondsman in, say, Dallas, Texas, and use exact searches, it's going to show up some searches, but it's also, you want to look at some of the other results down there, because what you'll quickly realize is that bail bonds, 2 separate words without the men in it, bail bonds, gets a much higher search term than bail bondsman. And if you just start somewhere there and you do a search, you're going to discover that. Another example of that is if you're going after chiropractors. You might type in chiropractor Chandler, and you might discover that they get more searches for chiropractic Chandler. And Google will show those results for you if you just type in chiropractor Chandler, and then down below it's going to show you some of the results. So you got to look around for that. And that's just about as complex as it gets for local markets with the keywords. And you also might want to play around, and you'll also see Google will provide some of these suggestions some of the time. It's just switching the names around. You might find out that Chandler chiropractor gets more searches than chiropractic Chandler. And it's important that we kind of look at that because we want to get the maximum number of searches, and particularly with videos, unlike websites, we're really trying to rank for one particular keyword. So we want to make sure that it gets the most amount of searches. So with that right there, want to just kind of take just a slight little questions and answer break and see if anybody has any questions regarding how to determine what kind of niche you want to go after, whether it's an easy, medium, or a challenging marketplace, and then maybe anything about keyword research, because that's really where it starts.
Okay. First of all, everyone keeps asking about our slide. Is this the slide? Are there any slides? This is the slide. This is more of an interactive call, so there's not going to be any slides. So the screen that you're seeing is the actual screen. That's the first thing. So what I'm going to do now is take a question for someone who's got a question about what Chris just covered. So Gary, Gary Wild, I'm going to pick you here. Let me pick your question here, brother.
And maybe while you're taking that question, I'll ask Brandon. Now, let me introduce Brandon for a little bit. He's kind of a modest guy, but he's a complete superstar. First of all, Brandon, you wouldn't believe it, but Brandon used to be, and I know you guys can't see him in the call, but he has lost over 100 pounds. Wow. And that in itself is a huge feat. Yeah. 100 pounds. Yeah. So that in itself is a transformation event. And he and his partner have started up a offline business. They've been very successful. And so Brandon, you've been listening to us talk here about determining keyword niches and research on here. How would you look for a good niche?
I'll tell you, I mean, everything you've said has been consistent in sort of our research that we do here. One other thing that we have found, and I'd love to share with you guys, is we have really found, like, one of our niches, I'll just go ahead and say it was sprinkler systems, which hardly gets any search volume almost anywhere nationally. But it's an industry where there's not a whole lot of competition or companies out there that provide that service. So when we actually went ahead and launched sort of a lead generation, we actually did lead generation sites and also videos with that as well. It actually still gets volume even in the shoulder seasons, even to right now. It's actually getting some sort of trackable volume. Now, it's not a whole lot. You know, it's anywhere between 10 to 15 calls a month, but that's a lot better. That's exceeded our expectations in it's almost, January now, in the middle of a winter season here in Virginia. So we've really found that even if you go into an area or even a specific niche that's not showing a whole lot of exact searches, but it's a service that's not really, there's not a lot of competition for it, meaning that there's only 3 or 4 dominant players in an area versus having a whole bunch of like, let's say, a plumbing or carpet cleaning or some other niche out there. We've really found it to be proven worthwhile to go after. So that's sort of a side note in addition to what you guys have talked about.
Hey, Brandon, when you guys were doing the keyword research for the sprinkler niche in your area, were there any searches that showed up?
That's the ironic thing. There's even in some other big, decently sized metropolitan areas, there still isn't a whole lot of trackable search volume. So it was definitely sort of flying blind. But we went ahead and did Chris's recommendations. It's Fairfax is where we're from in Virginia. It's a large area. I think there's like 1.2 million people. A lot of money's in this area. It's outside of Washington, D.C., if a lot of individuals don't know where Fairfax, Virginia is. So we went ahead and went with it, and I'm glad we did. It's definitely been one of our most profitable as far as from a lead generation site to this date. So thanks to Chris and his advice.
That's awesome. So really it just came down to what Anthony pointed out earlier. It just kind of came down to common sense. Even though Google said we don't have any searches for you, the truth of the matter is that there's 1.2 million people and there's probably at least, 800,000 lawns.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And they all need, some of them are going to need some kind of care at some time, and at least a small percentage of those people are going to go online.
Right.
So
you're absolutely right.
Awesome. And one of the other advantages about going into an easy market, especially if it has very low search volume that's showing up in Google, is that there's normally not a whole lot of competition there, is there, Brandon?
No, no, it was definitely very easy. I think just even doing some of the, I'm not sure if they went into the on-page optimization for the particular websites, and then following the guidelines in the passive massive video course, we were able to rank our video and our website just by doing the on-page optimization in a relatively short period of time with even a new domain and everything. I think inside 30 days, which is extremely quick for a website and even less for a video. I think it only took about a week or two for the videos to rank.
That's an awesome point. So basically, and that's something I want to underscore, we're really emphasizing going after an easy market to start off with so that you have quick, fast success, that you start to gain it's a great way to gain momentum. It's a great way to gain confidence. It's a great way to get some quick clients under your belt right away. And look, what you're saying is that with the video, it was just the on-page optimization of the video that after about a week got it to page 1. Yep,
that's correct.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we're talking about here. There is hundreds and thousands of niche opportunities like that everywhere, all across the United States, and even more across the world on that end of it. So fantastic, very good. Anthony, do you get some questions for us?
I do. I think to make this quick, it might be better for me to just ask the question instead of having the question answer or ask the question. So Gary Wild has a question. Is it worth going after if several on the page 1 have a high page rank, but some are 0 or 1?
I highly recommend going after the 0 to 1s. You're going to see a lot more immediate success, and you're going to get clients a lot faster. And one of the things we're going to talk about later, we'll just mention it quickly right now, is that once you get a client's video up to page 1 and they see that kind of success there, they're going to trust you right away, and you're not going to have to call them. They're going to call you. They're going to ask you, hey, we'd like to get our website up there, or we need some other work done, or we've asked about this mobile marketing thing. What is this all about? We know people search on phones. So there's a lot of opportunity there. So when you're looking at the lifetime value of a client, don't just look at it as this one video. There's a huge opportunity here if you want to take advantage of it and upsell them up into a lot of other different types of services.
Okay, that was good. Does this apply to mom and pop businesses as opposed to franchises? That comes from Mark Better.
Mark, great question. Thanks for being on the call tonight. Most definitely. I would say all of my clients, I would say, are mom and pop, because they're just all independent business owners who've got maybe 5 to 10 employees, and they don't have franchises. In fact, I don't have any franchise customers myself. That's probably not a good thing to brag about, because if you were able to get a good franchise owner and you're able to do very well for them, well, and they're happy, there's a very good opportunity that you could go nationwide with something like that. Brandon, are your clients, do you guys have any franchise clients? Or you're just basically kind of mom and pop?
I think we're just doing a mom and pop. I was actually just thinking of our clientele base when you asked that question, and I believe we have the same sort of similar model as you, Chris. I don't think we have any franchises off the top of my head as well. But again, like you said, that would be nothing to brag about. But I believe that's the case with us as well.
Okay, we've got another one from Patrick Scholler. The niche is determined by what the video is about, right? And I would say yes to that.
Yes. When you go about selecting a niche, one of the things that can kind of help out a bit, although it's not a requirement, is if maybe you know a little bit something about the niche. I've got another student who was a carpenter and ended up hurting his back, so he really couldn't do the physical labor anymore, so he was looking for something else to do, and he got into internet marketing, and we met. Anyways, that was a business that he kind of understood, and he could talk their language a little bit, and he felt, I think, just ultimately more comfortable with entering into that niche. So he started going after roofers and people who do garage door and handyman work, and that's just because he knew a little bit about the business and more about the business owners, and he could kind of relate to them. So I think it's important that if you know and you've got some kind of industry trade, and you know a little bit about it, you might want to gravitate towards those niches. And if not, that's okay too. All the niches I'm in, I have no previous experience in whatsoever.
And that's good to know, because one person asked, one of our students asked, Doug Legassi asked, do you guys have any experience in the accounting niche? Do we need to have experience in the niches that we're in? And so,
yeah, that's a great question. Again, just to reiterate, really, you know, my conversation with the client, once I'm talking with the client, is it's really all about, we're going to deliver you more customers, you're going to get more phone calls, and that's where the conversation kind of starts and ends. I don't get technical. I don't start talking about anything to do with SEO or any of that kind of stuff.
yeah, I think that's just going to confuse people.
Definitely confuses people, and that's
Yeah.
and it's really not what their primary concern is. They're a business owner.
Yep.
They want to get more clients. That's what we want to talk about. Brandon, when you talk with your clients, a brand new client, a prospect, how does that conversation go?
It's basically identical to what you said. Usually when we just literally, what we've done, we have a couple of different prong approach, and this is for our lead sites and also for the videos, like in your massive marketing that you guys just launched. We call, and it's literally strictly about, you know, leads, generating more phone volume. If we have leads available through our lead generation sites, we will bribe them or give them to them in order to sort of talk to them at a later date on the phone, and that works extremely well. We sort of stick to that model.
Good. And so you're not talking about SEO, backlinks, none of that kind of stuff.
No. Everybody gets glazed over, gets confused, or has been called, especially in my area in Washington, D.C., has been called about 18 million times and don't even want to hear about it. So I stick strictly with results, phone calls. Would you like this particular client? You know, Susie Jones, you know, just called in, or blah, 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 blah. She has a water heater issue. Is this something that you can take care of? So I stick strictly to results. You know, what would 10 additional phone calls do to your business, and just move on. If they're not interested, they're not interested. Move to somebody else that is. There's plenty of other people out there that want and need your service.
Great point. Excellent point on that end of it.
Yeah, that is pretty
Anthony,
good.
any other questions?
I mean, there's a whole bunch, Chris, but you might want to keep going with content, and we'll just come back to them. Unless you want me to keep going with them, there's a lot.
Yeah. Why don't we hit up just a couple more of these?
Okay. John O'Donovan wants to know, like, if we have a list of niches, and or I'm going to assume, I'm going to take the question beyond what he asked, how can you come up with a niche if we don't have a list of niches?
It's a good question. It's a good question. There's so much out there.
I'm going to share something that I used to do when I would build sniper sites. And what you can do is, if you go over to Easy Articles, and you go to here, let me change up my screen here. Slideshow. My computer's freaking out. If you go over to Easy Articles, and you come over to this section right here, this is how I used to figure out what sniper sites or what niches I was going to go after. And you've got all these different things over here. You've got arts and entertainment, business, computers and technology. You can just like open these up, and then they open up to all these other different niches in here too. So, and under arts and technology, you've got like animation, astrology, body piercing. So you could go after tattoo places. You could go after music places. So you can get ideas here. You know, painting. You kind of get the idea, like you get all kinds of ideas from this. For business, you've got business, accounting payroll, advertising, agriculture, branding. So you can kind of just use this as a way to drill down and come up with ideas and just start hitting these different little sections, and you can get lots of great ideas for niches from here. And then you go Google, like for example, Orlando advertising. You could Google Tampa advertising, Miami advertising. You could just add the city in front of that, Orlando accounting. And that's, I think, a great way to discover niches. I don't know if you agree with me or not on that, Chris.
Absolutely, no, that's fantastic. One of the things that we do is, especially for people just starting out, like, where do I go, where do I start, is if you just go to, and Anthony, maybe you can do this on screen, you just go to yellowpages.com,
Okay.
yellowpages.com, and once you're there, it's an absolutely fantastic source, because what will happen is, yeah, go ahead and exit out of that screen. And once you exit out of that, then you'll see on the upper right-hand side, you'll see popular categories. Go ahead and click on that right-hand side.
Mm.
And in popular categories, that's going to open up. And then I like to see all categories for Orlando, Florida. And you're going to get, right now, on the next page, you're going to get like almost an endless supply of all types of...
Oh, yeah. Bingo. This is even better than what I said.
Yeah, you can just start going through these. I mean, look at all these, and once you click open to these, some of these break into more subcategories.
Yeah, so let's do attorneys.
Yeah, attorneys is huge, by the way. And if you're just starting out and you're thinking, you know what, attorneys, that's going to be too competitive for me. There are a ton of little niche attorney sites out there that deal with different areas of the law that are very kind of nichey. One I think I gave an example is a dog bite attorney. Another attorney that's really kind of nichey is going to be attorneys that specialize just in truck driver accidents.
We have got one here in Orlando that just does speeding tickets.
Just speeding tickets, exactly. And these kind of things are very easy, especially the real niche ones. Like the speeding ticket one versus like a DUI attorney. A DUI attorney, that's going to be very competitive. I know because I'm in that marketplace. I'm glad to tell anybody about it, because if you want to try to get in it, go ahead. It's very hard. But that's very competitive. But you take something like a dog bite attorney, you take something like an attorney who deals with speeding tickets on here. These are great niches, and attorneys, more times than not, have videos, and they're usually really good behind the camera.
Yep.
And they usually have got the money and they understand that they need to invest in this. So those are great areas to go after. So yeah, I mean, I think you can see here on the screen that there's, driving instructor. I would have never thought of that. Car wash.
Yeah, and then
travel
you take that and multiply that by like 300 cities, or even more. There's more than 300 cities, but in the U.S. there's 200 major cities. I mean, so, driving, what was it that you just said? Driving education or driving school? I mean, you got Orlando driving school. Yeah, just add the city in front of that, and bingo, you just open that up to a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's a fantastic point, and I just kind of take that for granted, but I hope everybody realizes that if you find a particular niche that you feel you want to go after, remember that the little research that you'll do for whatever city, that same research, the keywords, the number of searches, is going to be applicable for all the cities that you do. You're just going to get a little bit more searches in larger cities and a little bit less searches in smaller cities. And you guys have probably heard the saying before, but the riches are in the niches.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so that was good. I think we got John's question pretty good there.
Yeah. That's a great question. Brandon, do you have anything to comment on that, on how you guys find clients? Or are we good?
Actually, that's a pretty good technique. I didn't even think about using the yellow pages. We've actually done the hard book, but this is actually really cool. I didn't even know they had that tool on there. The only thing I would add, and again, this is something that you actually have taught to us, is sort of picking a sense of urgency niche as well, to where somebody's not going to have much phone to call. There's a flood or whatever the case is. They're just going to go ahead and get that over with and get a hold of somebody as quick as possible. And that's sort of what we sort of target as well, niches.
That's a fantastic point. It is not a requirement, but Brandon, you bring up a really good point. And that is, if you take, for example, somebody who's maybe shopping around for a cosmetic dentist, there's no sense of urgency there, because they're probably looking at spending, anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 to get a new smile. So they're going to be shopping around. Definitely the quality of the video and creating trust online, that's really important, but the sales cycle is a lot slower. versus something like a DUI attorney. That's somebody normally you've got usually a spouse or a girlfriend or boyfriend or brother or sister calling the DUI attorney, or somebody just getting out of jail because they spent the night in jail, and they're just looking for somebody to take away the pain right now. Another example, you can just start thinking about these, emergency dentist, huge. I haven't been in that market. I've looked at it, wide open. The competition is low everywhere. But somebody's got a toothache, they get online, the first video, the first person they see that can fix me, they're going to call. They are not shopping around. Great point, Brandon.
Okay, I've got another one from
Excellent.
This one's
you
from.
Want to do one more question?
Yeah. I've got one from Rod S. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Can you hear me okay, Chris?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so Rod asks, say you have a city that the same city name is in many states. Example, Akron, and say there is an Akron in California, New Mexico, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, Florida, etc. How would you know how many searches for each location if you typed in Akron plumber or plumber in Akron in the Google keyword tool? If you had found videos for an Akron plumber in Akron, California, and Akron, Florida, and Ohio, would you target all three locations if they had enough searches to justify? And since they are three different locations, how would you go about getting each ranked specifically for the city and state they're in?
Excellent question. I love it. That's a very good question, very technical, and everyone's going to come across that more than likely. And I know that Brandon has, so Brandon, I'm going to turn this over to you in just a second here. But basically, like in my own backyard here in the Phoenix metro area, one of the largest cities in the United States is actually Mesa, Arizona, which is right next to Phoenix. And Mesa, Arizona also pulls up La Mesa results in California. That is just another suburb out of San Diego. And so those pull up a lot of the two. And so what step one, what you want to do is start to type it in. Type in, plumber Mesa in the search results, and you'll see what Google will suggest. And you'll find out is that if there's confusion, if there's other Mesas out there, what will happen is that Google will provide the state name for you automatically. It'll usually type in plumber, especially if I'm searching from a IP address within Mesa, it'll come up Mesa, plumber, Mesa, and it'll suggest AZ, Arizona on that end of it. And if you don't have an IP address to do that, just make sure that you've got your Gmail turned off, you've got your cookies cleaned, and the best second thing to do after that is to make sure on the left-hand side of your Google search results that you've typed in the location that you're searching from. So if you want to get more results from Mesa, Arizona, you type in your location as Mesa, Arizona. That's on the left-hand side of your Google search bar. And that's how I'd go about doing that. You're going to run into that. The second thing is that in the course too, we also teach how to geo-target the actual videos. So when you get done as part of the on-page optimization, is you're going to be putting the client's address and you're going to geo-tag it, the video. So now Google knows, hey, this video, even if this video was the keyword was plumber Mesa, we know from the address that's attached to this video that this is in Mesa, Arizona, not in Mesa, California.
Can I make a side note to that, Chris?
And absolutely.
Yeah, what we do too, because there's actually a Fairfax, California, and a Fairfax, Virginia. We actually get in Google. We do everything Chris says, but also get in there and just see what companies are predominant on the first page of Google. And it actually happens to be, and it's different for even different niches we found, but in some niches it's actually, I think for our sprinkler system example, I think it's actually California is the predominant businesses on the first page for sprinkler system Fairfax. So what we do is then we just go ahead and put the state qualifier. We optimize for both words and we rank for both words, but we really focus on the VA, the state qualifier, because that is what we want people to sort of come across when they're looking for our services in Virginia. We don't want to be predominantly on a page of Fairfax, California when we're all the way out in Virginia for sprinkler systems. So that's kind of what we do is determine the search volume or what's on the first page of Google as well.
Excellent, outstanding. Yeah. Same is true in my area. If I type in something to do with Mesa, Arizona, like plumbers or something like that, you're right. The predominant searches, just because there's more of them, is going to be
Right.
pull up California.
That's true.
Great point. Great point, buddy. Glad you're on the call tonight. Love it.
Anything, man. I'm serious. I'm pumped up. This is great. Anything to help out.
Should I keep going?
All right.
Should I
Yeah,
keep?
why don't we just grab a couple more of these and then we'll move on. These are some really good questions, and the thing is I don't want to move on too fast and then leave people behind.
Okay. So Tamar's like, so how do you focus on the state then? I think you guys just answered that question. Tamar Goldstein.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do you also geo-target the zip code for that particular industry? For example, plumber 48446. That comes from Patrick Whitson.
That's a good question. Yes, when you're geo-targeting it, what you're doing, and you'll see it in the training videos, is you're actually typing in the customer's full address that would include the zip code. So yes, you're geo-targeting to the zip code.
Okay.
I hope that answers that question if I got that right.
Yep, yep. If a client has multiple videos, how do we adjust our monthly fee for a situation like this? That comes from Greg Park.
Another great question. First of all, if they have multiple videos, I would target the video that you think, from a consumer perspective, is going to have the greatest call to action. In other words, if you were looking for their service and you came on page 1 and you clicked on the video, would you want to pick up the phone and call the customer up? So that would be the first criteria there. Also recall that what we're doing here is we're really, in the beginning when you're starting out, highly recommend that you just try to rank one video for one keyword. Don't try to get into multiple keywords per one video. I would save that for when you get a little bit more experience under your belt. So if they've got multiple videos, fantastic. Then you start out with one in the particular area. Let's say it's just one location that they have. You start out with one. The higher keyword research, they're always going to have 2 or 3 other keywords that are going to have other searches as well. So that would just be, you'd save the other videos for other keywords.
Awesome. Okay. Do we create a new channel for every video? That comes from Mark L.
It's a great question. We've been getting a lot of those questions out there. Glad you asked it. Yeah, you want to create one channel per client. There's 2 reasons for that. The first is really for a SEO standpoint on page. The second is not to confuse the customers, because what can happen is that, let's say that you've got one channel and you're servicing 2 or 3 different clients on that one channel. And what will happen sometimes is that a customer will, they're going to click on the video, and then they've got an opportunity to click further, and that can take them to the channel, and now they get a little bit confused. They're like, why is this sprinkling company also on the same channel as an attorney and a dog trainer? And so we want to keep that all nice and clean. But that's the second reason. The primary reason is going to help your SEO better.
Because it'll be more relative, Chris? Is that
it's
why?
It's going to be more relative, and what happens is that your YouTube channel, you're going to want to try to name it your keyword that you're going after, and then the video that you're trying to rank is going to be the automatic default video that's going to show up on that channel. So the channel is only going to show that one primary video. That's going to be your money-making video. And that's going to make it a lot easier to rank for.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Speaking of channels, David Pionk wants to know, could we explain what a channel is and how to create them? And what module would we cover that in?
We actually we go over the actual channels, and that's going to be covered. Let's take a quick peek in the back of the site here. I believe it's going to be on and off page SEO. I think that's module 3. I'm just taking a quick peek in there. Nope. That might be in module 4. Let me take a peek. Yes, that's going to be Module 4. It's covering on-page SEO.
Module 4, okay.
Yeah.
Chris, can I ask you a question? This might be a more advanced question. I don't want to throw everybody off, but
Sure.
I know at one time, YouTube just redid their algorithms, I guess, about 6 to 8 months ago, but in a medium to maybe a higher competitive market, would you recommend creating 2 different channels, going after maybe slightly different keywords for the same client in order to get those to rank, or is there nothing, you keep one client on one YouTube channel and that's it? Is there any bend in that from an SEO strategy standpoint, or no?
It's a good question. For very competitive marketplaces, like dentists in larger cities, attorneys, the popular attorney markets like bankruptcy, accident attorneys, DOI attorneys, those are very competitive marketplaces. And in those situations right there, I'm going to just stick with one video to one channel. I'm just going to just narrow it so that
Gotcha.
Google knows that, hey, this channel is all about this one single topic, period.
Gotcha. Right. That's what I was.
And there is an example of a marketplace that's not that competitive. It would be more like a medium competitive marketplace, and I do have multiple videos on page 1. And all of those multiple videos, I have one channel, and I have multiple videos on that one channel.
Yeah,
so it was an example
we
that I
do
gave
too.
in the course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do too, right? And I think you also gave
Yeah,
those as well.
we are orthodontists. Yeah. Some
Yeah,
advanced
so
strategies going on for you.
So that's a great question I have for you. That orthodontist, you've got 2 videos on page 1 for the same keyword term. Are both videos on the same channel?
We have 5 videos, and we're actually ranking for 4 different keywords for each video: orthodontist and orthodontics. And we have 2 videos set up for each one of those keywords, and both of them rank for the 5 different areas that we're going after. So we have 2 videos on the first page of Google for 4 different key terms. So basically dominate through the video. Yeah.
Very good. Outstanding. Love it. All right, Anthony, let's just take one more question, then I'm going to plow through this and move on to the next course of action.
Hopefully this question will answer. I see this question a lot, and Mike Waterfield is bringing it up, but I see it a lot also, is what keeps YouTube from banning our uploaded customer video as a copy? A lot of people who bought Amazon videos got their videos banned as YouTube consider them all copies, and what allows us to have, will YouTube allow us to have multiple channels? How do you go about doing that?
Good questions. For smaller local markets, I have not had any effect whatsoever in taking one video that a client has that's not getting hardly, it's just not showing up anywhere. Maybe it's got 10 or 12 views, and most of those are just from the owner himself, just showing himself and his kids and his wife and stuff. Taking one of those, swiping it, and then optimizing a channel. I've not experienced any issues with that whatsoever. So I wouldn't worry about that at all.
I think you're seeing that more.
Sorry, what?
I think you're seeing that more because it's like on the Warrior Forum, someone will sell these videos, the review videos, and I've introduced folks that have been a part of my gang to this before. And there'll be like 1,000 people will buy these Amazon videos and then upload them all. And I think that's probably why that's happening. I don't think you're going to see that happening here because you're going after a lowly client who's got one video out there and it's not optimized at all. And you're coming in and taking that same video and re-optimizing it with different keywords than they most likely have. Correct?
And then I would say that, and I don't know this for sure, but I would guess that the algorithm would kind of look at the 2 videos if they look similar to the algorithm. I don't know if they do or not. If they look similar, and they go, which one is getting more attention? Which one is getting more views? Which one is getting more backlinks? Okay, that's the one we're going to show, and that's going to be yours, of course.
And how does that play with the copyright issues on Yellow Pages? Are there any copyright issues on Yellow Pages, Chris?
I'm not aware that there are. I know that came up in the forums the other day. The way that I look at it, and again, this is not legal advice or anything, the way that I look at it is the client paid to have Yellow Pages or Yellow Book or Find a Law produce that video. The client is giving us permission to optimize that video. We get it on page 1, and it's a win-win for everybody. Not only does the client get more views and exposure from the public, but so does the branding of Yellow Pages or Yellow Book or Yellow Law.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it's really a win-win. We're not trying to go behind anyone's back here and swipe this video and stuff like this, and all we're trying to do is get it in front of more people, and who wouldn't want more branding on that? But that being said, really roughly only about 10% of my clients' videos are coming from sources like that where they have the watermark on them. It's not because I've tried to avoid them, it's just the way things have happened.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, you're not doing anything shady. You're like, the person owns the video, like you said. They hired them to produce the video. They have the rights. They should have the rights to the video, and they should have a copy of it without a watermark too. And it might be good to ask for a copy of the video without the watermark, don't you think?
Yeah, and what I think is really interesting is that if you start to kind of research that a little bit more, you'll notice not only does it have the watermark throughout the entire video most of the time, but their tagline, their first tagline is Yellow Book.
Yeah. Yeah.
On their video. So yeah.
And you know, a lot of people
trying to market themselves.
Right, and a lot of people are worried about getting banned off of YouTube and Google, and they're using that as, they're almost like that's causing fear, or it's not allowing them to take action. And I want to address that. I mean, Google is just a company. They're not going to put you in jail and come after you for getting banned, you know. So don't, like, if you got a channel banned, it's no big deal. Put up another one, you know. If you're hiding your IP addresses, it's not a problem. You know, use a good private proxy service like bestprivateproxy.com, and you know, set up a private proxy, set up your channels in private proxy, and you know, if a channel gets banned, big deal. Open up another one. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to get sued by Google. They're not going to come after you and put you in jail. So don't let that keep you from taking action. I think sometimes as people, we go through trainings like this and we find things to discredit, so that we're like, oh, this is not going to work because of this, and it's not going to work because of that. And then we find these reasons not to take action. That you can't do that. You've got to improvise and overcome.
That's a fantastic point. Brandon, do you have anything to mention on that? You've been through this process for quite a while now. Have you been banned?
No, we've never been banned, and we've tried to use different IPs, but you know, that's the best practice. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, there's even times where I just use my normal IP and have opened up multiple channels and have done what you've done, and I've had zero issues with getting banned. Or I don't even know I don't even know what they say when you get banned, to be honest, because I've never had it happen to me before. So, have you actually had an account banned ever, Chris? I mean, what do they say? Do they shut it down, or do they send you an email, or how does that even work? I don't even know.
I've created hundreds of my own Gmail accounts, so each one of those Gmail accounts are then going to be used to open up YouTube channels. And I've never had any of those banned before ever. And how we create them is really simple. We just take the CC Cleaner, and we offer a free download in the website. Use that CC Cleaner, clean out your cookies and your cache, and then I don't even use a high-end proxy service. I use I hope there's no kids on the channel here, but I use Hide My Ass. And hidemyass.com, there's a free version of it and there's a paid version of it. I think the paid version is maybe $6 or $7 a month. But that's what we use. And it's been very successful. I think you use the same services, right, Brandon, or something different?
Yep. Nope, we use that, Hide My Ass HMA.
But you don't even really have to, because we're not like doing like any serious hardcore black hat stuff. We're going after mom and pop's apple pie shop down the street. I mean, it's not a big deal, you know. Like, it's not like the 1,000th Amazon review video under the same keyword that's been uploaded. You know, it's like it's really not a big deal.
Scope.
Yeah, like folks, don't be afraid. Like, You have to understand there are no failures. There are only lessons. The only way you're going to learn is by sticking your neck out and getting out there and doing it. Like, don't be afraid to take action. You're not going to get in trouble. It's not going to happen. Okay?
And and this is Brandon here speaking, and we've even, one of our particular clients with video, we've actually even taken the same video and tried and ranked it in 6 or 7 different locations, sort of in the central locations. The same video. We just renamed the video file, and it's on the same. It's on different YouTube channels, and we've had no problems. It ranks fine. No one gets banned, and it's literally the same exact video, only that it's ranking in different smaller areas and also a main area from where we live. So, I mean, I haven't had any issues with any banning or not being able to rank videos because of that.
Brennan, that's a great point. How black hat of you. Yeah,
well,
exactly. I have the same thing. I've got.
Excuse me, sorry. I do a little bit of editing, so the actual video file might be, instead of 2 minutes, might be 2 minutes and 10 seconds, or 1 minute or 1 minute and 50 seconds. But the actual raw footage is the exact same video. It's just that it might be, instead of Fairfax, it might be Arlington, or it might be just some other suburb, and decent-sized suburb in the area that a particular company wants to rank for, and we've had no problem with that. So we continue to do. We just open up new YouTube channels, or sometimes we even put on the same YouTube channel with no issues. So.
Yeah, we do the same thing. We've got some client review stuff, and we don't even edit it. It's just the exact same thing through multiple cities on different channels, and we've never had any type of issues whatsoever. So,
yeah.
Were you just praising me, Chris, about my strategy here?
I didn't know you were so brave doing that.
You're like, wow, I don't think I even went over that in the course.
That's actually really slick, Brandon. Like changing the times, like making it 150 versus 2 or 210 versus 2.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot
really
of editing.
smart.
So, I mean, you don't have to do that. I mean, I don't want to scare anybody. Like, oh man, he talked about doing editing. You don't have to. You can do exactly what Chris says. Literally scrape it, put it up there, and just redo it without any issues. We've done that too. But just to be safe, if you got some safe V's out there, what I've done was, I just basically put in a few, animations in the beginning, at the end, maybe different lead-ins, maybe a little bit of music or something along those lines to create sort of a different time. And then also, obviously, save it differently. It's going to be the keyword-rich media file. Then I load it back on the YouTube channel. And the way I look at it is, then you change the voice scripts a little bit. I don't see how Google only goes by, those voice scripts. They're not going to individually watch every single video that's out there. It's impossible. So I don't see how they can actually ban it, to be perfectly honest. That's just my opinion, though.
And folks, know this too. The forum inside the Kajabi, not the Warrior Forum, but the members area forum is active. Like, I spent 2 to 3 hours in it last night. I'm going to spend some more time in it again tonight. So, just visit the forum and start poking around in there. I'll put some of the resources we mentioned in here, like Hide My Ass and Best Private Proxy, and then I'll even find some videos on YouTube that show you how to use it. That's another thing too. Like, believe it or not, if I don't know how to do something, I Google it. Right? That's number one. Someone asked me today, Anthony, does having an AdWords account, does that give you page rank? And I'm like, I don't know. I Google it, see what you get. And then go to YouTube and look up how to set up private proxy with Hide My Ass. There's probably a gazillion videos that show you how to do it. So I do stuff like that all the time. If I don't have the answer, I just Google it or YouTube it. Like the other day I had to do some image stuff that I didn't know how to do on Photoshop. I just went into YouTube and how do I do this on Photoshop? And it was right there. Okay?
Yep. Did the same thing myself. How to create the background image in Photoshop, how to make it transparent. And that's how I figured out how to do that when I did my editing. That's funny.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Let's go ahead and just kind of move on here. So just to recap really quickly where we've been so far is we've looked at analyzing a marketplace, and there's some great places to look for niches if you're not familiar with it. Yellowpages.com is a great source. You can just find literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of niches, and as Anthony brought up is a great point, is if you just identify one niche, you know that you can just spread that throughout all the cities across the United States. So that's a great way to go. Keyword research, I like to go for 50 exact searches minimum or higher, but as Brandon has testified, and I have clients as well, Google says 0, they're still getting searches. You just have to use a little bit of common sense, right? If it's automobile, you got 100,000 or 80,000 people, obviously people are going to look online. They got automobiles, they're going to have problems. Same with lawn care and sprinklers and stuff like that. As far as the keyword research goes, you're just looking for the one that would have the highest possible searches. If you're not quite sure where it is, you're just starting out, particularly with the local markets, the type of service that they provide plus the city name. Look at some of the suggestions that Google shows up. They may provide something, just a slight little difference of it from chiropractor to chiropractic. You might want to try switching the city around just to kind of play around with it and see which actually gets the maximum number of searches. And then finally, which a lot of people are going to run into, is if you have a particular city that you're going after, and there's that same city and maybe same city name in 3 other different states, then you want to take a look at, number one, how does Google show the results? When you type it in, is the predominant one in California versus maybe another smaller city on that end of it? That's okay. You might want to go after that one first. You also want to look to see what are the suggestions that Google does. And then finally, we're geo-targeting those, so Google knows where that video actually belongs to on that end of it. So there we've got our keyword research out of the way. We know what niche we're going to be going after. I highly recommend starting out going after one niche. And that's because the riches are in the niches. You're also going to find out that there's going to be some common things with each niche as you get to know and kind of specialize in, and it's going to help just speed your process along here. For example, I do towing niches, and I also do DUI attorneys. How I talk to a towing company and a DUI attorney is completely different, and I didn't learn it overnight. I had to practice through trial and error. So I would start out going after one niche and just specialize in that. So next thing we want to do is we want to find the video. We got to find some videos out there, and the good thing about that is that everyone on this call has got the software system. So you want to take that keyword-rich word that you found that's got the most searches, plug it into there, and then obviously you're going to get results. And once you get the results there, you're going to want to right-click it. You're going to get more results than you could possibly go after in most cases. So what I do is that I right-click it, watch the video real quickly, and I normally don't watch the entire video. I'm just getting a feel for it for the first 10, 15 seconds. Would I continue watching this? Does this look professional? Is this something that's going to keep my attention? If yes, then I'm going to keep that one as a keeper, and I'm going to find out, and I'm going to usually scroll to the end of that movie and get the website, and then I'm going to start researching on that client so I can get their contact information. And that's really all there is to that process. The next thing that we're going to do once we find those videos and you find that keyword is, remember, you're just going to you can literally take every major city all the way across the United States or wherever you are, European countries, Australia. You're going to go across all the cities on the end of it, and you're going to start targeting those. And don't forget, when you're looking at these, like in my area here in Phoenix, Arizona, it's not just Phoenix, Arizona. It's not just Phoenix DUI attorney. When you look at the Google map of Phoenix, there's actually more areas in it that also get searches. I've got Tempe DUI attorney. I've got Mesa, Arizona DUI attorney. I've got Chandler DUI attorney. I've got Gilbert DUI attorney. I've got Scottsdale DUI attorney. I've got Glendale, Arizona DUI attorney. And so on and so forth. And almost every area does. San Diego is a market that I'm in that has 17 other different suburbs there that are all a part of the San Diego area. So it's not just San Diego. It's not just San Diego towing, for example, but you can have towing in Chula Vista, which is just right north or south of San Diego proper. Then you're going to have Carlsberg, you're going to have La Mesa in there, and La Jolla and stuff like this. So you can break these niches up into parts too. So as you can quickly see that you can really start to expand this out. There's a really endless supply of business and opportunity out there. So once you've got your videos, you got your keyword, you found some videos out there, next thing you need to do is you need to start getting the client's contact information, primarily their email. Now, if you're starting out and you've picked a niche, Where it's more, you're going to have something like electrician, someone who does, say, garage doors, more of a handyman type person, more of a niche where it's usually just one or two people that are running the business. Chances are that their email that they're going to have on their website is going to be the email that they read regularly. So that's going to be a good one to go after. If you go after a niche that is going to have the gatekeeper, and they do not leave their email or contact email on their website, that's not a problem at all. Don't be deterred by that. Those are actually some of the easiest emails to get, especially for like doctors, attorneys, plastic surgeons, cosmetic surgeons. That's another hot niche, by the way, especially in more medium to smaller marketplaces. Very easy to rank for those, and those particular clients there is anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 per client. So it doesn't take a whole lot of clients for them for you to charge $200-300 per month, because they just need one client per year to really recoup all that cost. But those are very easy to get the emails there, because what I do is I'll actually call the front desk and I'll say, hey, I'm trying to get hold of the doctor here. I've got a very personal email that I'd like to send him or her. Do you have that for me, please? And if they give an email like it doesn't sound like it's the doctor's email, it sounds like one of their general emails, I'll just say, hey, this is kind of personal. Is this going to get through to the doctor or the attorney? And if they say, well, we just kind of, I read it first and then I forward it on here. I said, well, I guess that's okay if it's okay if you read his personal emails. And usually they'll say, oh, here, let me give you this other one, and then you'll get the direct one right there. So that's what I do when there's a gatekeeper involved. But for the majority of markets, what you're going to find, particularly with the smaller business owners, is they've got an email address on their website, and they do check it regularly. So that's how we get our emails on that end of it. And then the next thing is that you can't drive blind on this. You've got to track these emails. It's the most critical part of this entire process. We do provide a suggestion for a service to use. I think if it's still up there, I think there's a trial period. There are other services out there as well. We've had members suggest them. That is perfectly fine. Whatever you want, as long as you're able to tell and you're able to be alerted when that client opens up the email. And most of the services out there today provide so that you can be alerted by email and also by text. I like to be alerted by both. That way I know when somebody opens up that email. For me, that's the best time to call them right there. They've just opened up that email. I've been alerted of it right there. I've got a very simple Excel sheet. It's nothing fancy about it. It's simply got their email address, because that's what's going to show up. I've got their name. I've got the type of niche that they're in, and I've got the business owner's name, first and last name, that I'm targeting. And I call up right away. And if there's a gatekeeper, there's no problem at all with that. I just simply say, hey, this is Chris. I called the other day, or I just sent Dr. So-and-so a personal email. He just opened it up, and I think he's got some questions for me. Could you patch me through? I've never had any problems with that whatsoever. And once you get to the other side, the professional is more than willing to talk with you. These are very unique emails. The offer is really an irresistible offer. They've got nothing to lose. They've got everything to gain. And the majority of these people have invested some pretty good money in these videos, and they're just not giving the rate of return on them. And you're coming to something that's very unique. There's just not other services or people out there providing this type of service, because most of these professionals, they'll have a current webmaster. They'll usually have an SEO person, but not always. And so it really gets rid of any of those kind of objections like, well, I've already got an SEO person, or I've already got a website guy or gal, because we're offering something that's completely different. It's completely risk-free.
And can I interject really quick? The difference between videos and websites, videos are totally they're ego-driven, like more ego-driven than somebody having a website. And so, like, if someone spent $1,000 to get a video made, that's very ego-driven. And if you can come in and say to them, hey, listen, I can get that video that you spent all that money on the first page of Google, and it's not going to cost you anything until I do, they're going to totally jump on that. because they're going to want to tell their friends about it. Hey, look, I got this video. My video is on the first page of Google. Check it out. And then their friends are going to be like, hey, how did you do that? And then they're going to say, oh, this guy did it for me. And then it just starts to take off. Right, Chris? Isn't that what's happened with you?
Yeah, absolutely. That is so true. There's ego involved here, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's really something about having your video, if you're the business owner, on page 1 of the Google. A lot of the people just refer to it as the Google. I've had clients that honestly, they don't really care what the results are, although the results are good, but they really don't care. They just like having their video up on page 1 of Google. It just makes them feel kind of like a little bit of celebrity status.
Yep,
so
like a
there's
superstar.
Definitely that involved there.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
Yep. Okay, I just wanted to bring that up. Sorry.
Yeah, Brandon, have you? Yeah, that's a great point. Brandon, have you experienced any of that, or do you want to chime in with your experience, because it's really valuable on any of the points that I brought up so far?
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as obtaining clients, that's absolutely right. And like you said, celebrity, definitely there's some egotistic owners out there that definitely love that attention. Yeah, I mean, we do a combination of all of the above. We do the email method, which works really great. We do phone calls. Sometimes we call ahead of time, strike up a relationship, make sure that we get the actual correct email addresses and do a follow-up email and all that good stuff. So we really do all three, or a combination of the two above as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Ron, who I started out the phone call with, who just bought the course 24 hours ago, and he shared with everybody on the forum that the customer called him. And that's going to happen a lot. And also what you're going to find, and I think that we give some examples in the course too, is that the other reason that we're tracking this is that what you're going to find more times than not is that the majority of the business owners who are busy, and most people these days, when you look at email, most people are deleting more emails than they're reading, okay? And business owners especially. These emails are getting opened and reopened, and you get to track it every single time. If you see somebody opening this email 2-3 times and they don't call you, you better call them up. And they're going to take your phone call, and they're going to be thankful that you called, and they'll have questions, and you've got a captive audience. And if you're doing the video email, they're going to recognize your voice. They're going to feel like they kind of know you already. It's a very, very easy sale.
Giddy
so
up.
Let's go ahead and just pause right there. Yeah, giddy up. Let's go ahead and pause right there and see if there's any questions so far.
Okay, we're about an hour and 13 into this, so we're going to only take a few. And what I think we should do too is, if we don't get to you, just please go into the members area. There's a forum there. Just post your question in there relative to what module that it is, and I'm going to go in there and hammer a couple of them tonight. And we're going to, Massive Passive Videos is not going to be open forever, so we're going to probably close it down later this week, and we're going to be more involved inside the members area. It's our objective to build up the members area and create value in there for you guys, so just understand that that's coming. So it's important for you to get in there and ask your questions in there too, because we're going to be there, helping out. So Norman Ho has got some questions here. Is there a minimum amount of local monthly searches that need to be in place for this to be attractive for potential customers? Norman, we covered that in the beginning. Essentially, the Google keyword tool can be deceptive, and what we suggested was, if you're looking in an area, for example, in an area where was it that you said, Chris, that had 120,000 population?
I think it was more like around 80,000. It was, and I believe, if my memory serves me right, it's going to be Plano, Texas. Plano, Texas,
so automotive mechanic in Plano came up with 0 results, but there's a population of 80,000 people there. So these people have cars; they're going to be looking it up, and Chris and Brandon have both found that to be true. So don't let the minimums be a reason not to do something. Because at the end of the day, like we said, the clients are going to be, their ego is going to drive the video being on the first page. They're going to want their video on the first page. What is our opinion of low-hanging fruit? That comes from Norman too. What number of backlinks is easy, medium, hard to rank for?
Just a real quick guideline. We do give more details in the course, and if you need more detailed answers, we'll be happy to answer them. The best place would be in our private forum for the Massive Passive Video members. But real quickly, I would say the easiest ones, the low-hanging fruit, there's actually more low-hanging fruit than there is high-hanging and I would highly suggest that you go after those. We're looking at page rank of 0 to 2. So some are 0, some are NA, they haven't got a page rank yet, some are 1, some are 2s. Just kind of a mixture of those. And the backlinks, meaning the primary backlinks that are going to the website that's actually pulling up the results in Google, that's somewhere under 50. Now those are really rough guidelines, but those are guidelines that are going to get you by more than enough to be successful at this. And some of the users out there have Market Samurai. It's not required. It's a suggested tool that you may want to look into. It's not required though if you're starting out. Just want to make a note on that. But if you are using Market Samurai and maybe you're not familiar with it, Market Samurai makes it really easy because they color code everything. So if you enter in the search term and you hit the SEO and it pulls up page 1 results on there, they color code it. So everything, if you see more greens, that means go. Those are all the easy markets. If you start to see yellow, that means a little bit of caution, and red means, wait a minute, this is very competitive. So hope that answered the question for you.
Okay, we're going to take one more. This is our last one, and this one comes from Kevin Campion, and his question is it more effective to keep the credibility website as a standalone site with its own TLD focused on video versus adding it as a service offering on a page in a broader offline consulting website?
That's a great question. That's a choice you need to make on your own. Here's my 10 cents on it, though. I think that it's when a business owner is watching your video, they're going to be captivated by it. And when they're interested, then they're going to click on your signature and they're going to go to the website. I want to keep them focused on exactly on the topic at hand. So I would recommend keeping it focused.
Yeah.
That way they go, wow, this guy's a specialist. This is all they do. They just got these case studies here, nowhere to get lost. And the case studies also mirror how we do the videos too. So it's very similar how we're showing the results in there as well. So I would recommend specialize, keep it the same. Don't give them 20 items on the menu, just give them one.
Yeah, because if you do, they're going to look at all the different items and they're going to get overwhelmed by what you're offering and all the different prices, and then they're going to hit the back button, and that's not what you want.
Yep. Remember, guys, a confused mind always says no. I used to have one of my sales mentors used to tell me that, if you have 18 million options, if they're confused about anything, more times than not, they're not going to take that opportunity. So the more focused you are, the more you sort of talk about on topic, the more times than not they're going to say yes to whatever you're offering.
Yep. Okay, guys, that's it for tonight. We're going to be on again next week at the same time at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I just put the registration link inside the members area. It's under the Fast Track tab. Just go in there, and you can register for next week. We'll see you then. If we didn't answer any of your questions tonight, just log into the members area, go into the forum, and make sure to put your question under the relevant module. And then I'm going to go in there tonight and spend a couple hours in there again tonight and make sure to hammer out some questions. Chris is really, really tied up right now with support and making sure everybody gets in and the software is working. But next week we're going to both be in there knocking stuff out full time. So just know that we're there to help in any way that we can, and we're going to be there to help you succeed. It's our goal. All right.
Anthony, I just want to end with just one really quick note on here, and that is, look, all we've covered today is more than enough to get you started. The keyword research, going out there, finding it, and then taking action and emailing them out. If you're concerned about, well, geez, how am I going to get this video to page 1 and all these other questions that come up, view it like this. First, get your client. Don't worry about the other stuff. When you get your client is going to pay you to learn how to do this, okay? And between now and next week, 7 more days on here, if every day you just carve out a couple hours a day, solid hours a day, doing this research and emailing these out, I promise you, you're going to see results from here by the time that we have the conference call next week, just like Ron did, who got the course 24 hours a day. He took massive action. You stay up till 2 in the morning. The next day he got a phone call. Now he's got a paying client.
I think this is a good time to bring up the little contest that we talked about doing earlier, Chris. So
ooh, yeah.
Why don't we talk a little bit about that before we get off? We're going to have a little contest here, okay? And the contest is going to go like this. It's $150 for first place for the first person that gets 5 people as a client. You don't have to collect the money up front. You just have to get them to agree to take over 5 videos. You just have to take over 5 videos. To win the $150, you're going to have to make a video for us, you know, showing us the videos that you took over and where you uploaded them, and or the emails from the customer saying that they're going to let you take over the videos. That should be enough. Would you agree, Chris?
That's enough. I want to throw in a bonus on that. Is that okay?
Sure, man.
Okay, the bonus is the first person that does that, I'll do a private one-on-one half-an-hour consultation. We can talk about whatever you want.
That's awesome, dude. That's over-delivering right there. So all you got to do is take over 5 videos. The first person that does that gets a half hour with Chris and $150 in cash. We're going to send it to you. Okay, now for second place we're doing.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
They also the most important prize here is they just got 5 clients.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most important prize. They got 5 clients that are going to pay them every single month, and these are 5 clients that are going to be happy, and these are 5 clients that are going to come to you, and they're going to ask for more services.
Yep. Okay. So that's first place. Second place is $100, and you've got to do, let's say, 4 videos. You're going to take over 4 client videos for second place. And then third place is you got to do 3 videos, and you get $50. So we got a first, second, and a third place. And let's see who does this. I'm going to start a new tab in Kajabi. I'm going to lay out the contest rules, and feel free to, Chris, I'm going to open up the comments section under that tab, just for that specific tab, okay? So if people have questions about the contest or if they want to submit their stuff, they can do it under there. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. I'll take care of doing that tonight. I'll put the contest rules up tonight. You guys that are here are lucky. There's over 3,000 people in this course, and you guys have a head start over them. That they don't know. We haven't announced this yet, so you've got a head start over them. And I'll even wait to put up the tab. I'll put it up tomorrow. I will put it up tonight so that you have a head start over all the people that did not take action, that are not here on this call tonight. You've got a massive head start over them to win, okay? So we want to see some action takers out there, because action takers are the money makers. Here's for prosperity, Anthony Aries. Chris, I'll see you later.
Sign out. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep. Brandon, thanks for being here.
Brandon, take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.